She sat on a bench outside of Dewey's Bakery on those crisp Saturday mornings when me and Mama would head into town to pick up a red velvet cake, which meant company was coming, and that wasn't Mama's specialty, the cake, I mean. Last time she made red velvet cake, Daddy said something about roadkill, and the cake ended up on the walls, and Mama didn't speak to Daddy for a whole week. She sat right beside the spot where Mama would point, and that one gesture would tell me to sit down, be quiet, act like a lady. Don't even think about crossing the street. Children should be seen and not heard. And yes, I do have eyes in the back of my head. You see, one gesture from Mama could say all of that. And we would sit on that bench and we'd talk. Well, she did most of the talking. I would just stare at her long skirt and all those colors that used to be other colors, and the old work boots that had a good 3 days' dirt on them and no laces, and that long gray shirt she wore that hung past her elbows and had the name Earl stitched on the pocket. First time I ever saw her, I thought she was downright pure-tea creepy. But then I decided I wanted to be Wonder Woman when I grew up, and that this was just going to be the first test of my bravery. So I would stare while she sang Moon Over Miami, all the verses, and then in French if she felt up to it, which usually she did. I don't think that was French. Her hair hung around her head. It was light and wispy like a cloud, kind of like the cotton candy around the stick at the fair, and the skin on her head, it was transparent with these tiny blue veins, looked like a road map leading to somewhere I wasn't sure I wanted to go. And then there was that butterfly, that tarnished silver butterfly. Looked like it was about to fly away from her head if it hadn't been glued down to that clip she'd worked so hard to fasten there. And she would pat that butterfly, and she would tell me that a butterfly could launch a tsunami. Whatever she meant by that. And just when it was about time to go, when we would hear Mama winding down from her favorite dissertation to Miss DeWitt with 1T behind the counter of how the world was going to HE double hockey sticks and a bread basket, Earl would lean over, look me in the eye, and say, "Little bit, you're special. You got a light that shines in you, even when they can't see it." And I believed her. And when they picked on me at school, threw things at me on the bus, I believed I was still special. When I heard Mama talking to her sister on the phone over in Des Moines, and she said, "Well, at least she's got personality, if nothing else," I would remember that I had a light, even if they couldn't see it. I always meant to go back and find her, but I didn't. I probably wouldn't have even known she'd passed if I hadn't heard Mama talking to her hairdresser Eulalie, whose cousin Harmony's brother, the cop, said that they'd found a body up under the overpass. Just, and I quote, "some old woman clutching a silver butterfly with the name Earl stitched on her pocket." I was sitting in this class in college one time, listening to some intellectual fellow talking about some theory of disambiguation encapsulating the technical notion of sensitive dependence on initial conditions and chaos theory, and anyway, it all went over my head until he said, quite simply, that his theory was that the tiniest flutter of a butterfly's wings in one part of the world can result in a tsunami on the other side of the world. A butterfly could launch a tsunami. And I remembered Earl. I think that was the moment I decided I no longer wanted to be Wonder Woman. That I wanted to be more like Earl, who never scaled tall buildings or even made the cover of her local paper. But oh, how she flapped her wings with the simple moments she was given. Earl reminds me the power that we all have in our workplace, our lives, our communities, the power we have to build people up, the power we have to make a difference. If Earl were here, she would lean over, look you in the eyes, and say, "Little bit, you're special. You have a light shining in you, even when they can't see it. Don't you ever let it go out." So go out there, flap your wings, and launch a tsunami.